Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend. It is Monday, July the 11th. Kim McDonald and Lindsay Morrison, my new co-host for the summer. Did you get yourself an extra alarm clock? That's all I need to know.
I got myself an extra alarm clock and an extra large coffee because these mornings, I love them, but you sometimes need that.
She's perky today, folks. We'll see what happens at the end of August. Okay, let's talk a little bit of what happened in Newfoundland yesterday. Wow, were you swept off your feet? We had some significant winds right across the province. Temperatures in the mid-teens. So not a terrible day, but a much nicer day today.
Certainly, it's going to be sunny. It's going to be relatively warm in St. John's, Newfoundland, looking at a daytime high of 20 degrees. We'll talk temperatures in just a moment, but first let's focus on some of the active weather happening. We've been seeing some storms in parts of Quebec around Val-d'Or, as well as in northern Ontario, but the good news is that the watches have now ended for that region. Here's a look at the activity happening in New Brunswick, mainly showers at this point, but there is a risk of thunderstorms throughout the day today around Bathurst as well as Edmundston. More details on that in just a moment, but here's a look at your temperatures. Humidity starting to make its way into the province of New Brunswick. Even Charlottetown going to be feeling the heat today as well. Nice sunny day if you are in Nova Scotia as well as parts of Newfoundland, but there is that risk of thunderstorms that I mentioned, and here's a look at the areas of most concern. Quebec's Gaspé Peninsula as well as in through northern sections of New Brunswick. Kim, we could see some heavy downpours and some flashes of lightning.
Yeah, and you know, you're going to have much of your day under sunny skies, but again, as we get towards the evening, some stormy weather. And we'll look at your long range too, because it looks like everybody in the Maritimes will get into that. In the meantime, no, I mean, this can get pretty sticky for some. There are Humidex advisories, there are special weather statements. It's going to be a couple of days before you get out of this hot, sticky air mess.
That's right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the situation happening across southern Ontario. Here's a look at the current conditions. Not bad for early in the morning, 24 degrees. The temperature in Toronto already feeling like 35 in Windsor. Can you believe it? And it's also quite humid towards Barrie. We do have a Humidex advisory in effect for parts of southwestern Ontario, including Windsor and Sarnia. This is just how sticky it's going to be feeling throughout the day today. Feeling closer to 40 in the city of Toronto once you factor in that humidity. Feeling closer to 38 in Ottawa. And as we look to the north, we're looking at some very warm temperatures as well. There is, however, a risk of thunderstorms. More details on this coming up. First, though, a look at your long-range forecast. So Tuesday, rain in store for you in Newfoundland, and a second wave of moisture is going to push into the Maritimes. We could also see some embedded storms with this low pressure system. It's going to be warm on Tuesday in southern Ontario, but the humidity will be cut down just a little bit. You'll feel it more so late day. Mild across parts of the prairies, but some active weather happening in the province of Alberta. Expect potentially severe thunderstorms, as well as in parts of Saskatchewan as well. On the coast of British Columbia, we're looking at a bit of a soggy long-range forecast for Vancouver, Victoria, on and off showers and some heavy rain in the interior. Unsettled now across the prairie provinces, but we do have a ridge building in, so conditions are going to be a little warmer. Cooler, but around seasonal in southern Ontario. Still lots of sunshine in store. Clearing in the Maritimes, and you will clear out if you are in Newfoundland by Thursday. Across the west, we are seeing those temperatures rise steadily, and by Friday, if you are in eastern Canada, the start of the weekend is looking great in Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes. There could be some rain in store for you if you are in Newfoundland. Your local forecast details are coming up in less than 1 minute. Following that, a look at some of the big weather stories happening across the country, including the risk of some thunderstorms. But first, a Humidex advisory is in effect for parts of southwestern Ontario. It's going to be a hot day. Keep those water bottles handy and stay indoors in an air-conditioned facility if you can. A risk of thunderstorms not only for northern sections of Ontario, but also in the southern sections of the province. Around Windsor and London, we could see some potentially severe storms. And it's a similar situation if you are in New Brunswick or Quebec's Gaspé Peninsula. We're looking at some late afternoon, late day storms, so just something to keep in mind. Well, if you're heading to Mexico, there are some showers in the forecast depending on where you're going, but Cancun looking at 31 degrees with a mix of sun and clouds. Montego Bay, Jamaica, 33 degrees is the forecast high for you. And let's talk about other parts of the Caribbean, including Cayo Coco, Cuba, 30 degrees with some sunshine in store for your Tuesday forecast.
So it's not over yet, Lindsay.
It's not, Kim. We're seeing some thunderstorm activity in parts of Quebec, and eventually this low pressure system is going to be affecting parts of the Maritimes. So here's what we're dealing with. Some activity in and around Val d'Or and some very widespread scattered thunderstorms, and they're weak for the most part, but something to keep an eye on. Here's a look at the latest activity across New Brunswick. Some showers at this time. You can expect the potential for some thunderstorms later today. Here's a look at the temperatures. It's going to be quite humid in New Brunswick today, feeling like 34 once you factor in the humidity in Fredericton and Charlottetown. You're going to be feeling closer to 30. Lots of sunshine in your forecast. As for Nova Scotia, parts of Newfoundland as well. However, if you are in New Brunswick, keep in mind that there is a risk of thunderstorms, specifically in and around Bathurst as well as Edmundston. The Gaspé Peninsula of Quebec, you too could see some active weather. A humidex advisory remains in effect for southwestern Ontario. It's going to be feeling into the 40s once you factor in the humidity. In fact, it's a similar situation for the greater Toronto area, feeling closer to 40 once you factor in that hot, sticky air mass. And then with this comes a risk of thunderstorms, a low pressure system moving in. We could see some heavy downpours, strong winds, and maybe even some hail. Our weather watch continues after this.